The night after their escape from the haunted cabin, Clara and Sheriff Brackett reconvened at the sheriff's office. The room was dimly lit, casting long shadows on the walls as they pored over the contents of Josh Hunton's journal. Clara's mind was racing with the possibilities, the mysteries, and the sheer terror of what they had encountered. "We need to understand what this ritual was about," Clara said, her voice steady despite the anxiety gnawing at her. Hunton believed it would give him eternal life, but it seems to have tied his spirit to the forest instead. Sheriff Brackett nodded, his face lined with worry. "We need to figure out what that symbol means. It has to be the key to all this." He pointed to the twisted knot symbol that had been recurring in their findings. Clara's eyes lit up with an idea. "There's an old man in town, Mr. Whitaker. He's a folklore expert and used to be a history professor. If anyone can help us decode this, it's him." The following morning, they visited Mr. Whitaker's cluttered study, filled with books on mythology and local legends. The elderly man adjusted his glasses as he examined the symbol. This is an ancient sigil known as the Knot of Eternity. It's used in rituals meant to bind a soul to a particular place or object. Whoever performed this ritual on Hunton didn't just bind him to the forest. They anchored his spirit with something specific. "But what could it be?" Clara asked, her frustration evident. "How do we find it?" Mr. Whitaker leaned back, deep in thought. If Hunton's journal is accurate, there might be clues hidden within it. These kinds of rituals often have safeguards or ways to reverse them. They returned to the sheriff's office, where Clara meticulously examined the journal again. Suddenly, a pattern emerged. "Look at this," she said, pointing to a series of numbers and letters scattered throughout the pages. "It's a code." Brackett grabbed a notepad. "If we can crack it, maybe it'll lead us to whatever is anchoring Hunton's spirit." They spent hours deciphering the code, their eyes growing weary with the effort. Finally, Clara's face lit up. "I think I've got it. The numbers correspond to letters, and they spell out cemetery." "The Pinebrook Cemetery," Brackett said, his voice grim. "Of course, Hunton's family is buried there." As night fell, they made their way to the cemetery, the air thick with tension. The old gravestones cast eerie shadows in the moonlight. Clara's flashlight flickered, casting a pale glow on the path ahead. They followed the journal's clues, leading them to a secluded part of the cemetery where Hunton's family plot lay. "This is it," Clara whispered. She knelt by the largest gravestone, her hands brushing away the dirt and leaves. There, partially hidden, was a small weathered chest engraved with the Knot of Eternity. Brackett knelt beside her. "We have to be careful. Whatever's in there is the key to ending this." With trembling hands, Clara opened the chest. Inside was an old, tarnished locket. She opened it to reveal a portrait of a young woman, Hunton's wife, Margaret. "He must have anchored his spirit to this locket," Clara said. "We need to break the connection." Suddenly, the ground beneath them began to tremble. A cold wind whipped through the cemetery, and the familiar growl from the cabin echoed around them. Shadows started to coalesce, forming a dark figure that loomed over them. Josh Hunton's ghostly presence. "You will not take it," the ghost hissed, his voice echoing with malice. Clara stood firm, holding the locket out. "We know your secret, Hunton. We will set you free." The ghost lunged at them, but Brackett stepped forward, chanting words Mr. Whitaker had taught them, a counter-ritual to break the bond. The air crackled with energy as the ghost screamed, its form flickering and distorting. Clara joined in the chant, their voices blending into a powerful incantation. The locket glowed brightly, and with a final, anguished wail, Hunton's spirit was sucked into it, the darkness dissipating like mist. Exhausted but relieved, Clara and Brackett collapsed to the ground. "We did it," Brackett said, his voice shaking with disbelief. Clara nodded, holding the now dormant locket. "For now. But this is just one piece of the puzzle. We need to make sure no one else ever tries to use this power again." As they walked back through the cemetery, the first light of dawn breaking over the horizon, Clara knew their journey was far from over. The secrets of Pinebrook were still buried deep, and the true extent of Josh Hunton's dark legacy was yet to be uncovered.